Hi, my name is Dave Bode, and in this video, I'm going to talk about this Solar A1.6W. So this is going to be kind of a review, and I'm going to share my experience playing and buying this guitar. I bought this guitar on September 2nd, 2021. I paid $1,099 US, $42 shipping, $67 import tax or duty, and it arrived in 5 days from Spain to Western New York, which I thought was pretty good because everything was shipping pretty slow at that time. So I got the guitar September 7th, and I've had it about 6 months. So this guitar has a lot of features that I really, really like. Locking tuners, graphite nut, 24 super jumbo stainless steel frets. I like guitars with stainless steel frets. I don't know why every guitar doesn't come with stainless steel frets. I mean, I do because it takes more time and stainless steel frets are harder to work with, and more work means more cheddar cheese from them. So stainless steel frets are awesome. They feel great. They remain super highly polished for a long time. I mean, they're still highly polished, and I play this guitar almost every day and out on several gigs for 6 months. And they don't wear down nearly as fast, although I don't have data to prove that, but stainless steel is a good bit harder than the nickel fret wire. Anyway, 2 humbuckers, and these are Duncan Solar. So I guess Duncan design made by Solar. I don't exactly know how that works, but these are good sounding pickups. These pickups are pretty neutral sounding, I think. They just sound like a good single coil, a good humbucker in the neck, and the same thing in the bridge. They don't sound like they are metal pickups or jazzy or country. They just sound like good pickups. I'll give you a quick demo in a little bit. Down here, I have a 5-way switch. There is a single volume and tone knob. And the look of the guitar, I also really like. This guitar is flat white. I've never had a flat guitar before. Actually, it does have a little bit of what you might call sateen. And it's got a bit of an aggressive kind of body shape here, which I think is pretty cool. I love these cutouts here too. And I don't think I mentioned, this is a set neck or neck through body. It doesn't have the typical kind of set neck joint here, like you'll find on a Paul Reed Smith or a Les Paul, but I think it's a lot nicer. I don't think this goes all the way down to the butt of the guitar down here, but I'm not 100% on that. I know they do make some that do, but this feels incredible. This joint right here, the way that this just smoothly goes right into the body, it feels great when you're up here on the tiny strings, which I'm not all the time, but when I do, it feels much better than a bolt-on neck or a neck with a big fat like heel joint right here. So let's talk about the party piece of this guitar, and that is the Evertune Bridge. That's probably the most significant thing about this guitar because all of the other features, I mean, the body shape, this is basically an Ibanez RG with a different headstock and reverse tuning pegs. Stainless steel frets come on a ton of guitars. These pickups are good, but maybe not anything special. The rest of the guitar is just a guitar. But this, however, this really is special. And yes, there are other guitars that have Evertune bridges, but not for this price. So that's where I think Solar Guitars has kind of a unique appeal, maybe. It's a lot of guitar with a pretty incredible bridge for not a lot of cheddar. So I think that's cool. So what is the Evertune Bridge? The Evertune Bridge is a very clever mechanical bridge that has a spring and cam lever system on each one of the saddles that compensates for the string tension such that it keeps all the strings at the correct tension for the tuning of the guitar. If that all sounds like technical mumbo jumbo, that's okay because I'm going to demonstrate. Essentially what it means is guitars that are fitted with an Evertune bridge don't ever go out of tune. I know it says what it does on the tin, Evertune stays in tune forever, but for 6 months, that's been my experience. And I've played this guitar, like I said, a lot. Almost every day. I've taken it out on gigs, some of them long, like wedding band gigs, 3 hours long, playing lots and lots of songs of various genres. And after I tuned this guitar and set the intonation a couple days after I had it, which you do down here at the bridge and not up here, which I'll show you in just a second, I haven't touched the tuning in about 6 months, and it hasn't dropped and it hasn't shifted at all. I don't think you can say that about anything else. Now, if you read online about Evertune bridges, you may find some detractors saying, well, an Evertune bridge, all of that mechanism and all of that moving stuff, that will suck the life out of your tone. That will decrease your sustain. And it's much harder to bend on. It's just not the same feel as a regular guitar. All of that is complete horseshit. It doesn't suck the life out of your tone. The sustain is like any other guitar, and you can bend just fine. That's a perfect fourth. Well, almost. Which is almost at the limit of what my hands can do. I promise you, if you do a bunch of perfect fourth bends on any other guitar, you will pull that string out of tune, but not on this guitar. And I do that stuff all the time. You know, I do all kinds of aggressive bends on this, usually on the top 3 strings, and I've never had to tune it. That's pretty incredible. Now, let me walk you through how the Evertune Bridge works. I'm going to start down here on my E string and check this out. I am turning the peg. The pitch isn't changing. But eventually, right there, it does. So this is what Evertune calls zone 1. Zone 1 is where the string is coming up to tension. And so obviously you don't want it here, but as I re-tension this string, again, these don't tune it, they just get the string up to correct tension or the correct tension range. And then the Evertune Bridge kind of kicks in and the pitch plateaus. So I'm going to keep tightening this. I think that's 2 or 2.5 full turns since it came up to pitch. That's 3 full turns. Right there. So maybe 3.5, 4 full turns. I wasn't precisely counting. Right there, I've reached the end of what Evertune calls zone 2. Zone 2 is where the pitch kind of plateaus. So at the end of zone 2, we get to zone 3, where the pitch will start to go up again. That's where you run out of basically room with the Evertune mechanism. It reaches the end of its throw, and that's where you can put the strings if you want them to bend. Now, the cool thing about the Evertune system is that if you want your guitar set up for kind of rhythm playing, you know, maybe you do a lot of chugging and you hit the strings pretty hard, you can set it in the middle of zone 2 and you can bend the notes or you can bend the string, but the pitch doesn't change. I mean, you have to really get on it, but you can put it even farther down. Which means that you can overfret the guitar, you can bite this thing with your hand as hard as you can. You won't bend the pitch sharp. You can also hit it as hard as you can. You're more likely to break something or hurt your wrist before this string will bend up in pitch. It's pretty cool. But if you want your notes to bend, all you need to do is get them right to the edge of zone 2. So you just tighten this tuner until it just goes up, and then you back it down just a hair. And now, it bends basically like any other guitar. Now, I say basically because there is a small amount of movement that needs to happen when you bend a string before the string bends. And that's where people say, well, it's not the same as bending on a hardtail. You're right, it's not. It's not the same. But I promise you, if you try one of these guitars and you set it up like I have it, so let's say on my G string here, you get it right at the edge of zone 2, so we're still in tune here. Bending this, you can see how much I'm moving that, right? Yeah. Zoom in, camera guy. I bet you wouldn't even notice. The difference is so small that I don't think you could notice a difference between this and a hardtail. I certainly haven't, because for the last 10 plus years, I've been playing a guitar with a hardtail bridge, and I bend a lot. In fact, I mostly play kind of lead lines, and this is something that I have not noticed once I set the guitar up with all the strings except for the E string at the end of zone 2. I like to keep the E string kind of locked where it is, although occasionally it catches me out, so that when I jam on the power chords here, they stay perfectly in tune. Or at least the E string does. The A string is less likely to be bent out of pitch. So that's how I have it set. All of these other strings can be bent. usually I set the E string like this. The Evertune Bridge is very, very cool. It seems complicated, but it's really not. And like I said, I haven't touched the tuning in 6 months. When I go to a gig with other guitar players, I show up, I take my guitar out, I plug in, and I'm good to go. I can play for hours and I never need to tune. I never need to worry about it. I pick this thing up and it's just in tune. I play with other guitar players that, well, they need to tune initially, but then they play one song and maybe they use a capo and they have to tune again because, I don't know, their guitar's not set up in such a way that can hold tune between those, or maybe they just beat the heck out of it. And they have to tune like after every song or every 2 songs just to make sure that it's, just dialed in just like that. After playing this guitar, I just don't understand why everyone doesn't use one of these unless you need a tremolo or vibrato system. So I'm a super big fan of this. So let me give you a quick demo of these pickups, just quick and dirty. I'm using my Headrush MX5 with an SL100 amp model and an IR with a 57. You don't really have to know which one it is. No compression and a little bit of reverb because guitars without reverb sound stupid. So here is the neck position, volume, and tone all the way up. Here's the single coil neck. Not very consistent, but that's okay. You'll forgive me, I'm sure. This is the bridge single coil. I'm not very good at playing chords. So I think these pickups on this guitar work. I know this guitar looks metal, but metal is actually the one genre that I don't play. In the wedding band that I'm in, we play all kinds of tunes from the last 5 decades. And this guitar does all of them perfectly. Especially with the Headrush MX5, I can pretty much get any sound that I want with this combo. Well, that's pretty much it for this video. If you have comments or questions, because I didn't cover everything there is to cover on this guitar, please leave those below. If you liked the video, please remember to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And until next time, my name is Dave Bode, and I'll see you around.